The Auburn Tigers are 3-0, but it hasn't been perfect. What do we like? What do the Tigers need to work on? Let's discuss it on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go, baby. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Uptempo podcast, Sunday morning live edition. Another victory edition, Nick. It's our third one, and the Auburn Tigers are 3-0, baby. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. How about yourself, man? How you feeling this morning?
I'm good. I didn't want you to have mixed emotions. I know you're a South Alabama man, and I know you're also an Auburn man. So I just was kind of interested to see where you were sitting. I thought the Jags showed well, man. And I know a couple of South Alabama fans tapped in with me on the reaction show. And I said, look, I think y'all gonna make a run in the Sun Belt. I think that the well-coached team, man. Applewhite's a great coach.
Yep.
And their recruiting strategy is really smart. There's just so many great players in that area. That sometimes good players get overlooked, and South Alabama's come in and scooped those guys up. They're a competitive bunch. Me and you both thought that 24.5 number for the spread was really massive. So never felt like Auburn was going to cover that. I predicted, I want to say 35-17 was the score that I predicted on the Friday show. So all in all, man, like what we're going to do on this show is 3 games in.
Yep.
Auburn's 3-0. So we're going to talk about the positives, and then we're going to talk about the negatives. What are some things that maybe will come back to bite Auburn? What are some things that we think Auburn needs to work on? So, hey, look, this is going to be an objective show. So there's going to be some praise, and there's going to be some constructive criticism. If you can't take the constructive criticism that is going to come, go ahead and tap out now, man. But we're going to have I'm just not dealing with it today, because no football team is perfect. Right? The record's perfect, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
But there are some things to talk about, and I promise you, anything that I say Auburn needs to work on, Hugh Freeze hasn't already said at the podium. But all in all, man, like 3-0, and that's all that matters. So, but SEC play starts now. The real deal. We know we got a massive game coming up Saturday, man. So before we get in here and get this thing cranked up, you guys do us a favor. Y'all know the deal. Sub to the channel if you haven't done it yet. I have already tweeted out a link, so do me a favor. Retweet that, like that tweet, all that good stuff. Share this out on social media. Tag Nick at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast. Tag me at DMcShot28. Get it here. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. That's something I want to start doing. I want to see where everybody's at. Let me know where you're at, baby, on this Sunday morning. But let's get going, Nick. I want to start on the offensive side of the football. Okay. Preseason discussions were the obvious questions. You have a guy in Jackson Arnold who has some up and downs at Oklahoma, but anybody that was being objective saw that some of those issues were his, and some of those issues were Oklahoma's. We're 3 games in. I'm going to ask you for a letter grade. I'm going to ask you for a letter grade on Jackson Arnold's performance so far, 3 games through here.
Letter grade on Jackson Arnold's performance, I would have to give him a solid B. Probably B plus. I have to give him that in that range. I give him a solid B plus. I after the Baylor game, I asked a question about the potential of the drop back game. And how that would evolve. And, I asked the question, was it quarterback holding the ball too long? Was it offensive line, or was it play design? Last week against Ball State, I have come to the conclusion that I believe Auburn is a RPO team. And that's what we need to do well and hone our skills on. I would love to still see some maturity in that part of the game. But other than that, what I've seen him do in the first couple of weeks is, for one, the biggest thing is protect the football. I don't think Jackson Arnold has an interception at all through 3 weeks,
right,
and things stuff like that. So that's a big positive right there. That's always going to help you win games. But yeah, I have to give him right now. We talk about it later on, but I didn't mean to go that depth into it. But B plus is where I be.
B plus, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it a B plus. I was gonna give it a B, but you talking about the turnovers, because then I thought through it, and that one versus Baylor, behind the line of scrimmage. That was almost a turnover. But other than that, man, I mean, it's been pretty good decision making. He hasn't even really put the ball in jeopardy, and he threw a hospital ball to Preston Howard yesterday. Like but there hasn't even been a whole lot of those. Like overall, the decision making has been really, really solid in an RPO offense where that's a thing, man. I mean, how you go back to these last 2 years, and Hugh Freeze has had to talk about. You've heard him say it. Literally heard him saying it in post game press conferences or and the Monday pressers saying, "Hey, we got to take parts of the playbook out and dumb it down a little bit." And you just kept thinking like, "Well, that's not good. That's not." You're trying to spin it as positive, but ultimately you're telling me that your offense can't run parts of the playbook. It's not a good thing. You're not hearing any of that at all. At certain times, it kind of looks vanilla, like you're holding stuff back, like there's a lot more to it, and you felt like you haven't had to unleash the whole offense in these first 3 weeks. So yeah, man, I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B plus. I mean, because I think too, one thing that I like 3 games in is like you mentioned there with the RPO offense. I think you've established what you are.
Yeah.
You know, through 12 quarters of football, I think you know what you're best at. And I think you know that if you need 3 or 4 yards, he can get it with his legs.
Yep, surely can.
That is, you see Hugh go into that when he needs to go to that. There was the 3rd and long yesterday where, you know, you run the QB draw and you're kind of thinking like, all right, kind of a goofy play call on 3rd and 8, but you also, I understood immediately, well, that just means you're going forward on 4th down. You were probably hoping to get a few more yards than like the 2 or 6 you got there. I think you had to set up like a 4th and 5 or a 4th and 4. You're probably hoping to get it to like a 4th and 2 or something right there. But ultimately, man, it shows the faith that Q has in Jackson's legs. It just offers a different dynamic. And I've said this since I've been doing the pod, but Auburn just hasn't had this kind of quarterback. But it plays in the NFL too, but the NFL is a little more structured. And just they're pros. In college, man, if you have a quarterback that can get the first down with his legs, when everything else breaks down, it's a game changer. Again, it's a game changer in all levels of football, but it's college, man. It's like things can get real crazy real quick. Guys can be all over the place, and if you have a guy like Jackson that can just go in there and make it happen, here's the big thing for me, Nick. Here's the my biggest takeaway from Jackson Arnold, and I'm not all the way on the hype train yet.
Okay.
I gotta see at Baylor. I gotta see at A&M. You ain't played in the SEC yet for Auburn, so I still got some stuff to see. But I'm gonna tell you what I love. When Auburn has to get a first down, when Auburn has to make a play through 12 quarters, there was a couple of plays yesterday where I saw Jackson just forearm a South Alabama defender out the way to make sure he got the first down. Oh, that's a dog.
Yep.
There's something in there that you can't teach. And I've seen it with my pro team in the Bucks with Baker Mayfield. When you bring in that kind of guy, like take ability, talent, all that out, just mindset. The whole team feeds off that. It leaks into the defense over a period of time. But man, like I'm really starting to believe in Jackson Arnold's mindset. Like I'm looking at it yesterday and I said, okay, man, I 3 games is enough. I've seen you be a dog enough on 3rd down. I've seen you be a dog enough on 4th down to say, hey, man, this guy's got a little grit to him. He's got a little toughness to him. And everybody's got their personal preferences, you know, and there's if you can play quarterback, you can play quarterback. There's no right or wrong. But you know, and both can be successful. But you have the Peyton Manning types, who, by the way, is one of my all-time favorite players. But you have the Peyton Manning types who step to the mic and just say the right thing, and they very calm demeanor and all that kind of stuff. And then you have the Baker Mayfield types who might approach it a little bit different. Now, just for me personally, that's the second one is my personal preference. It's more fun to me to watch. I think Jackson leans more towards that second type, like, hey, I mean, I'll put my shoulder into you if I got to do it and get that first down. And I think it's something It helps any football team, dude, but I think it's something that particularly this Auburn program needed. Your quarterback's your leader regardless. Whether you want him to be or whether you don't want him to be, the quarterback's the leader of your football team. He's going to set the tone a lot of times.
Yep.
So even if you're on the defensive side of the ball, man, if you see your quarterback laying it on the line, willing to put his shoulder down, willing to stiff arm a defender out the way to get those critical yards, it just works wonders for your football team. I'm really starting to become a believer, Nick, in Jackson Arnold's mindset, man.
Okay. Yeah. What can I disagree with what you just said? Nothing. You know, I see exactly where you're coming from there. Yeah, the thing that I have noticed about Jackson Arnold in these first couple of weeks is his willingness to, not be afraid to do the dirty work is what it's called. So, like yesterday, for example, there was a play that I actually was like, man, we don't need you doing that. But looking back on it, maybe that was a signal to his teammates to like, all right, man, we need to pick it up. But he literally lowered his shoulder against a defender and kind of ran him over a little bit. And I was like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. But, man, we gotta keep you healthy. We got 9 more games to play, man. We got 9 more games. Well, we don't want you to get hurt. But no, I understand exactly where you're coming from with what Jackson Arnold has done, man. And I want to attribute it to, maybe this is, the thing that Coach Hugh Freeze was talking about in the offseason was building his confidence back up. Could this be the part of where we're looking at the confident Jackson Arnold? A lot of people in the season were saying, "Oh man, Jackson Arnold sucks, man. You saw what he did last year." Well, as you alluded to in what you were saying there, we all saw what was going on in Oklahoma last year. We all saw what happened. But now you're in a situation to where you have what seems to be a stable offensive line, what seems to be a stable of athletes at wide receiver. We got depth at running back, what it looks like. And it seems that the head coach and the offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks coach have a lot of confidence in you and like your skill set and what you can bring to this offense. And they believe in you. And you can kind of see that in the play calling that we have seen so far from Auburn this year. I just feel like his confidence is just growing these past 3 weeks. I feel like we have seen a different level of confidence in Jackson Arnold. Started with the Baylor game, that first touchdown run. You saw the Baylor game, dancing after the touchdown. Then after that, got another touchdown. Then after that, we get into the Ball State game. You see him throw a couple of touchdowns in the Ball State game. And then yesterday, just kind of take control of the offense and just kind of just move it along. And you can kind of see him, making checks at the line, and, being comfortable and things like that. So yeah, I attribute it to his confidence just getting better and better over these past 3 weeks. So yeah, everything that you stated there, I just added that piece to it about the confidence part about Jackson Arnold is true.
Yeah, that's a great point you made because Hugh preached it this offseason. Hugh took flack for saying, "Hey, I'm trying to build. We're doing things in practice to try to build up
his confidence."
Everybody got mad. Oh my god! We're taking it easy on him. No, he looks fine. And looking back at yesterday, for the 14 for 23, if a couple of guys, I'm looking at my tight end, if a couple of guys catch some footballs there, then that completion percentage is a little bit better. Maine says next step for JA is anticipation throws, and then he will be an A for me. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with
that. Absolutely. And that might not ever be the strength of his game. But yeah, definitely something to work on. And again, you're gonna see this week, because one thing that Oklahoma is gonna do, as long as they have the head coach that they're going to play is have good defense. Steven says Oklahoma is used to Auburn's game plan because it's what their QB does, but better. They will load up on an RPO and run and make his arm beat them. Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously talk about the Oklahoma game during the week, but I expect a low-scoring game, Nick.
This Steven, this is why after the Baylor game, I was harping on us having a more mature passing game. Because of games like this. when you have and I have stated that I feel like Brent Venables is in the upper echelon of defensive guys that can call plays that take away what you do best and then have a contingency for what you potentially have a contingency to your contingency to what they think that you're gonna take away. and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're an RPO team, but the thing about it is this is the exact reason why after the Baylor game, I was like, I kind of want to see the drop back game be a little bit more mature. I want to see more out of the drop back game. We saw a little bit of yesterday. We saw some mesh routes yesterday. We saw some combination routes yesterday as well. We didn't see a lot of it because Auburn didn't get a lot of chances in the second half. I think they only had 3 possessions in the second half, but you saw some of it in the first half. And hopefully we see that expanded a little bit more in this game, as while we're honing on to the RPO game as well and making that better and using that as our bread and butter. But that comment right there is the reason why I was saying we should be trying to figure out a way to kind of expand this drop back passing game. But everybody kept saying, it was a too high safety look. I was like, there you can throw against too high safety looks. You can. It is there. The NFL does it all the time, and other teams do it all the time. There are route beaters for that. But I'm interested in that because I believe Brent Venables is one of those guys that's gonna try to take away what we do best and then potentially have a contingency for what Auburn potentially tries to do after that. So this right here is going to be a chess match with both coordinators. Nick's Freeze against Venables, and then Durkin against Arbuckle. This is going to be an interesting game to see. I tell you that much.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of emotions. Jackson was asked about obviously going back to Oklahoma and all that kind of stuff in the post game, and he gave the answer that he should have gave. Like, I'm focused on this team. It's just the next game for this team and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, and he's got a little bit of dog in him, and I think I know that he's gonna have a little bit of extra juice in the cup. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm coming in here to show y'all something. And look, I'm not a disbeliever in John Mateer. Okay, so I don't want anybody to hear what I'm saying and take it out of context. But let's stop acting like Oklahoma's played anybody yet. Now, Auburn hasn't played some kind of crazy gauntlet either. But let's stop acting like Oklahoma has played this really difficult schedule, and we've seen the best of those guys. Nick, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Okay. Okay. My screen's. I got a big blue circle on my screen. Y'all hear me good and everything?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, we'll power through it. But yeah, so what I'm saying here is Oklahoma, I'm not a disbeliever and I'm not a believer. There's this idea, I saw some of this in my comment section yesterday, that John Mateer is going to just carve up this Auburn defense. And I'm like, 20 for 34 versus Temple? Like, let's not act like there's not questions over there as well. It's going to be a really, really interesting game, man. I think it's going to be one of the funner games of next weekend. And that chess match that you alluded to is going to be a good time. But I think the Jackson man is going to be really fired up to just kind of show like, hey, I wasn't the problem here. If he comes, and to Oklahoma's credit, like to their coaching staff's credit, and to a lot of their media's credit, they've all been very fair to Jackson. They were very fair to him at media day, saying, hey, we did not put him in the position to succeed. Yep. But you know how fans get. There's a whole lot of trash talk from the fans' perspective. And I think Jackson's going to be fired up to prove those guys wrong. But somebody made an interesting comment, too, yesterday that I saw. I wish I could remember who said it. But they said, like, this Oklahoma game might be one of the most difficult games Auburn has left. And it's like, we'll see.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I mean, like Georgia. Georgia is still to me like the big one, and then like what comes with the Iron Bowl. But this is I'll say this, Nick. Preseason, okay, I would have ranked A&M tougher than Oklahoma. I don't feel that way anymore. I have serious questions about that Aggie defense. I think Auburn can put up points on that Aggie defense. I don't like the fact they're going to have a bye.
Before
But
I get what you're saying.
yeah, I don't like that. But I think Auburn can put up points on it. That game very well could be a 35-31 type shootout when I see this Oklahoma game being like a race to 24 kind of thing.
Yeah, preseason for people who don't know, spoiler alert, I actually have Auburn losing this game this weekend. Preseason, I had Auburn losing at Oklahoma, but coming back the next week beating Texas A&M. Okay. And the reason why was because of the defensive side of the ball. That's the main reason why. And it was so funny because if you listen to everybody that talked about Texas A&M, they were talking about Texas A&M's defense being the strength of the team this upcoming season. I looked at it and I said, all right. I just if you don't know, like I did a deep dive of Auburn's schedule of every team that Auburn plays this year and things stuff like that. And when I looked at Texas A&M, I said, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. And when I go back and look at Mike Elko's defenses, right? I don't think that the defense that's at Texas A&M right now, even though a lot of these guys that's on the defense now, were some of the guys that he helped recruit there when he was the defensive coordinator there at some point before he went to Duke. But when you go back and look at some of his defenses, it just doesn't look like what you saw at Duke to me. It just didn't look like those defenses to me. So I wasn't as high on this defense with what Mike Elko wants to do. And so far being kind of proven right, because you saw that even though the score predicative for Texas A&M against UTSA and Utah State, there was a discrepancy there. But you saw last night, even against Notre Dame was able to put up points last night, and Notre Dame doesn't really have much of a passing game to kind of like look at.
Yeah, lit him up.
Yeah, and things and stuff like that. Yeah, love is the guy. You know, CJ Carr is a breaking in as the starting quarterback there. Starting quarterback there. I'm gonna stick with my preseason prediction. I think Auburn falls at Oklahoma, but comes back at Texas A&M at Kyle Field and wins that week after that. Because I agree with you there. I think Auburn can go into Kyle Field and put up points. I think Auburn can literally go in there and put up 35, 38 points in the game against that defense. Because Scooby Williams, linebacker for Texas A&M, they got Julian Humphreys, who was in the transfer portal from Georgia, who's now the cornerback over at Texas, who's a cornerback at Texas A&M. But for some reason, it's a lot of that, and there is somebody else that I'm missing that transfer to Texas A&M as well. But it just seems like it's not gelling all the way right now, and you can kind of see it on the field. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Auburn can go into Kyle Field and put up 30, 38, possibly 41 points in that game.
Hey, look, if it plays out that way, I'll take it. If you would have came to me before the season and said Auburn starts the season 4-1, I was like,
yeah.
Hey, give it to me. Like Rick James, give it to me, baby. We'll take it.
Baby.
Give it to me, baby. That's that funk right there, boy. Rick James used to get down. Before we get to the defensive side of the ball and things that we want to see that they like, that they're doing well and that they need to work on and all that kind of stuff, we've only talked about quarterback on offense. Anything else that you've seen on offense, Nick, that gives you hope that you like positives on the offensive side of the ball outside of the quarterback position?
Jeremiah Cobb, a guy that I have been high on since he committed to Auburn. That when he got to Auburn, I felt as if he was a Heisman Trophy candidate at running back, and a lot of people said I was crazy. I said, man, I'm telling you, man, I've seen this man play in high school. And I'm telling you, I like this guy, man. To me, when I see Jeremiah Cobb play, I see a running back that falls forward every time he gets hit. Mm-hmm. And I see like the perfect combination of strength and speed to me is when I see him. And a lot of people ask about his durability, and they ask about, can he hold up? A lot of people talk about his pass protection, which is a legitimate question. But everything else that I see from Jeremiah Cobb, especially in these past 2 weeks with Damari Austin being out, tells me that this man can hold a load, and he can go through a season and be the guy.
Yeah.
When needs be. And I honestly think that he could be the guy for Auburn moving forward. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go Jeremiah Cobb, man.
Do you think he's RB1 now?
I'm hard pressed not to put him there, man.
Yeah.
I'm hard pressed not to put him in RB1 because and you got to understand, I'm a little bit biased to it too, because this is a guy that I was very high on when he first got there, as well. If it was me, I would have Jeremiah Cobb RB1.
I mean, it's back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yes.
So I definitely think that he's got to be going into the Oklahoma game. I think he's got to be the primary guy just because he's the guy that's been playing the last 2 games. He's hot. And then I think you kind of work Damari back in, Now, that injury to Darrell Robinson, like, it made that running back room thin real quick. Like, I like Omar Mapson. I think he's going to be a good player. But there's still, like, there was a drop off yesterday between Jeremiah and when Omar came in the game. And they're obviously not ready to put Alvin out there yet. And that's no shade at him. It's just, it takes guys, some time to get ready to play SEC football. The kid's only 3 games into his career. So I'm not saying nothing bad about him. But that injury to Darrell Robinson definitely kind of put a dent in the depth. I don't think Auburn wanted to run Jeremiah Cobb 19 times for South Alabama. But to your point about him being able to carry that load, it's a plus that you've seen him do it. And, Hugh Freeze talked about it all offseason. He said breakout year coming, and you're seeing that happen. And Jeremiah was the speed sweep guy. He was the Ontario McCaleb gadget type. And then what you've seen is Auburn go to him on critical 3rd and shorts and him be able to get in that A gap, that B gap, that C gap, get in between the tackles and push guys back and still be a physical runner to keep the chains moving. I think him and Jackson Arnold play very well off of each other. I'll tell you too, man, like I like the way the O-line's playing. I mean, there's obviously it's never going to be perfect, but you went into Baylor and ran for 300 yards. I don't even know what to make of Ball State, but I actually thought that pass protection wasn't all that great in that game. But I thought they played well overall yesterday. I like the physicality of him, man. Like, we know what Jeremiah Wright does. Like, how he plays. I mean, there was a couple times yesterday where I was like, chill, Jeremiah. You're about to get a penalty, brother. The whistle's blown. But, like, that's just how he plays, and I love it. They're physical. When I listen to the O-line give interviews, they all kind of talk with the same, like they all speak in the same language. It seems like a unit that's really kind of all together. I think a lot of that is your center, Connor Liu. I think that so far, still 9 games to go, still our toughest road ahead of us. But the Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy experiments at tackle have worked out. And when you did see one of those guys, when you did see an injury happen in the Baylor game, Too Tall Miller stepped right in, and there wasn't a drop off. Like, he played fine. Hugh actually credited him in the post game of that game about how well he's played. So I think that all in all, man, I'm pleased with the offensive. I'm pleased with the play calling. Like, there's again, long way to go. Like, the meat of the season still left ahead, but so far so good, man. I'm optimistic about what we've seen. It's not been perfect, but it's better than I expected. I honestly, dude, I expected it to be a little more clunky, I guess. Like what you're seeing at LSU, and I didn't expect LSU's offense to look that clunky, but I expected it to be.
That's a question. That is surprising to me.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, that is surprising.
It is very weird. But it does look a little more. It's further along, I guess, would be the way to put it than I thought it would be right now. So I'm encouraged.
This is my hot take. And I don't want people to think I'm just trying to talk negatively about it. I think after this game, we're gonna have more questions about a particular side of the offensive line after this game than we've had the first 3 weeks.
The right side?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have more questions about it. Okay. than we've had. And the reason I say that is because talent matters, okay? And I'm not like everybody that we talked when people was asking me about the South Alabama game. I was like, yeah, South can make it a game, but I never picked South to win the game.
Yeah.
I just said South is a tough team and they can make it interesting. But now when you get into SEC play and you have R. Mason Thomas that's potentially rushing off the end, yeah, that's a difference. That is a difference.
No, for sure.
So, yeah. So now I'm sitting here saying, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna say hot take. We potentially could have more questions about that particular side of the line after this game.
I hear you. I know what you're saying. I feel you. For me, this Oklahoma game, I'm already anticipating some of that. Like,
okay.
I just for me, it's the Oklahoma game is a race to 24 in my opinion. So like, I'm expecting our offense to have some struggles. I'm expecting their D line to have I'm kind of that's kind of just baked into my expectations. So if that does happen, I'll definitely make note of it. And then like if it continues into SEC play, then I'll definitely join you on that one. I will say this, man, before we get on the defensive side of the ball, some things that I need to see improved on offense. Tight end play. I'm going to try to be nice here. That was the worst drop I've probably seen a Division I football player have. So we got to get it together. Or we got to find somebody that can catch the ball. I don't know how much trouble Hollis Davidson is in for his weed pen, but we might need to get him out of trouble and see if he's ready to go. And I don't know what all the entails in that situation. If there's other issue, I don't know. But like ultimately, man, tight end was a question coming into this season, and at least from the pass catching standpoint, it kind of continues to be a question. That was really bad, man. So. And it hasn't been great through the first 3 games. So Hugh Freeze offense works best with a tight end that can be reliable and catch the ball. And if they're going to be focused on Eric Singleton and all these options and Cam Coleman and all that kind of stuff, I need my tight end to catch wide open touchdown passes in the end zone. And because, yes, you were able to run it in the next play, but maybe versus Oklahoma, you're not able to just run it up the middle the next play and get the touchdown. Like, there are going to be games down the line here where that missed opportunity right there will kill you. And there was another one where Jackson throws it to him and he just falls down. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, that was wild.
What's going on out here? So
you're a big body. You got to make that catch.
Yeah. And then there was another one where you got hit and it's like, yeah, I mean, they hit your hand. There was a hospital ball. Okay. And I'll give them the pass on that one. But the other 3, man, there's got to be catches. And then for the other tight ends in the room, so I'm not like just piling on Preston Howard here, but like you guys need to step up and practice. Like if that's the best we got, then the guys that are underneath them, let's go. And it was my big question for the offense coming into the season was you look at the tight end room and you're like, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot here. There's definitely a lot of questions. And so far, I'm not impressed with what I've seen from that position group at all. I would grade it very badly. And then another thing is Cam Coleman.
Jesus Christ.
Versus Baylor, he had 1 catch. Yesterday, he has 2 catches.
For 49 yards.
Throw this man the ball.
Got to, man.
Throw him the ball.
Got to.
So, coverage, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. 1 catch and 2 catches. I need to see more of the Ball State 7 catches or 8, whatever it was. But 1 reception, 2 reception, absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. I get it. Eric Singleton came out hot and all that kind of stuff. I don't care, bro. You got to get 8 the ball more. Through 3 games, Cam Coleman has had a game where he's had 1 catch and 2 catches. That ain't it. And it's similar to the way the season started last year, where we didn't start getting the ball to halfway through the year. Cam Coleman needs 7, 8, 9, 10 targets at Norman this week, bro.
Need it. They need it.
Let's get to some of these comments, man, before we get into the defensive side of this discussion. MS with a whole bunch of numbers is watching from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. 850 in the house, baby. Stand up. Absolutely. And they like your ideas too, Nick. They were a fan of Nick's content. So, yeah, absolutely. Go there to the Water Cooler Talk podcast as soon as we're done and subscribe to their channel if you haven't done that yet. Let's see. We brought that one up already. Let's see. Karen says, War damn everyone. 3-0 sounds good, but I'm nervous about the defense. We are going to talk about that, Karen, in just a second. Appreciate you always being here, Miss Parker. Miss Parker. The weakest link says J.A. played in that environment last year. I don't think it will be quite a big deal. Yeah, I'm with. I mean, look, atmosphere is not going to be a thing. He's literally played at Norman. I know he was, not as a visitor, obviously, but he was a starting quarterback in the SEC last year. I'm not worried about that at all. I know that the Baylor atmosphere is not the Oklahoma atmosphere, but like it still was a road game to start the season. He wasn't rattled. He's played in this. He's not a first-time starter type deal. He came from an SEC team. He's played plenty of games in Norman already. I'm not worried about that. Madison says, when I saw J.A. go back to the huddle after a short run, sees blood dripping down from his forearm, and he gives them that okay, next play. I'll fix that later gesture. I said, this is a dog. Let's go. Or damn eagle. Yeah, I'm with you, Madison. Jackson's tough. And again, this is just a program that needed this kind of mindset from the quarterback position.
Yep.
Like I love Jarrett Stidham. But that mindset is not what this team needs right now, right?
Yep.
Like they need the Jackson Arnold mindset. Like this program has had 4 straight losing seasons. And it's been a lot of it's been because of poor quarterback play. We need that guy. Auburn's needed that guy that just says, to hell with the excuses. I don't care that there's blood dripping all over my arm right now. Look, we're playing football. We're going to go out here and get it done. So, yeah, I'm with you 100% on that, Madison. It's been fun to see. And, Jackson's so far, it's been fun to watch him play. It's a fun brand of quarterback to watch play. And to Nick's point earlier, I think every week you're kind of seeing that confidence grow and grow. And a lot of those incompletions yesterday were not on him. I think Perry ran the wrong route probably on one of those. It looked like there was at least a miscommunication, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't even look for the ball.
Right. So, yeah, there was that one. The other throw to Perry that was incomplete. He just had pressure all up in his face. Yeah. Maybe he could have made that throw a little bit better because Perry looked like he would have had a good chance to score on that play. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see Perry get a catch. But ultimately, it's a fun brand of football to watch. I enjoy watching it. So Marshall has a good question. Marshall, you actually asked me this question on Twitter, and I'm glad that you brought this up on the show because I have not really been on the social medias too much this week for obvious reasons. Marshall says, do you think if Auburn is using vanilla play calling not to show anything, do you think Auburn will be able to get it together in a week when they play Oklahoma and have more advanced play calling? Your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Vanilla play calling, man. This is something that I always like. I hate that term when people say vanilla play calling and things stuff like that, because if it is vanilla and it is the base offense, I mean, based on what we've seen so far, this in the first 3 weeks, Auburn has looked okay in it. Like I said, but we're still sitting here having questions, saying that there are things that still need to be improved upon, like in the base offense, not getting Cam Coleman the ball. And things and stuff like that. I've just never been a proponent of teams being able to just turn things on and off like that, because it is not conducive to a winning culture, and is not something that's sustainable long term. Because if you are just saying, all right, we can just turn it off this week and potentially turn it on the next week, I don't know, man. This is not water. You know what I'm saying? This
right.
We can't just go and turn the water faucet on and just water start coming out, man. You got to be able. This is something that has to be sustained throughout a whole season. So the whole notion of just being vanilla and trying to not show enough, to me, that still to me shows a culture problem, because it seems as if, and this is what I get from it. It seems as if you're overlooking the opponent that you're playing that week. That's something that I always hate, when people be like, well, maybe we are just holding things off for the net for SEC play. Worry about the opponent you playing that week. That's what you do. That's what you do. Now, if it calls for it to be, if you feel as if the scheme that you have can sit back and not have to show a lot in that situation, okay, fine. If you feel like you can just beat a team off of a base offense, that's fine. But you worry about the opponent you playing that week. This is something that we need. Like, I'm sorry, let me go on a little tirade. Right, this is something that we need that we need to do, because when we say stuff like that, it alludes to as if we are not respecting the opponent. And we saw that yesterday because South Alabama actually made this a game in the second half. Is what they did. They were driving the ball down the field. Auburn only had 3 possessions in this game. And we did not, and for some reason, the defense just didn't feel like they didn't want to come and play in the second half, in my personal opinion. That's what it looked like. But we are saving stuff for the next team, for the next week. We need to get that mindset. We got to stop that mindset. We got to. And we got to play who's in front of us, and we got to dominate the opponent that's in front of us, because that's a mindset thing. That's what that is. That's a mindset thing off top. So that I'm sorry I went off on that, because I've heard so many people say that. I've heard so many people say that we are saving stuff for the next week's opponent. Why are we worried about next week's opponent? Worry about the opponent that we're playing Saturday. That's what we need to be worried about. That's it. But my bad.
No, you're good, buddy. I don't have a whole lot to add to it, because you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I'll say, like, for me, it's like it's building habits. It's building mental habits, and it's also building habits within play calling, within scheme, and all that. Like you said, it's not water. You can't just say, all right, here we go. Now this week we're going to do the stuff that we've been waiting to do. It's like, well, if you haven't been repping it, and you haven't been doing it in live action, you might not be able to necessarily just to turn it on. And I fully believe that teams develop habits over the course of a season. So when you want to develop positive habits, you want to have samples and examples that you can look back on and say, okay, we ran this at this time period in the game and it was able to work. And hey, Jackson, like, what play do you like right here? That kind of thing. This idea that you just have all this stuff that you're holding back. Yeah, I don't know. And we'll use that to transition to the defensive side of the ball. If there is something that DJ Durkin has been holding back for these first 3 weeks, he needs to let it out the bag, because look, let's start with things we like. Let's start with things that we like on the defensive side of the ball through the first 3 games before we get into the things that we don't like, because I think that part's probably going to go a little bit longer. Things that I like, Keldrick Falk is Keldrick Falk.
Yep.
And he's been that guy. You can say, well, yeah, of course, but like plenty of times you've seen guys have massive preseason expectations and not fill them. Mm-hmm. I think he's that dude. I think he's filling them. You see him getting pressure from the inside, shutting down the run game. You see him doing his thing from the outside. Like, Keldrick's that guy. Also, we needed somebody to step up beside Keldrick. I take notes every single game, and I went through for today's show. I went through my notes from the 3 games, and I said, man, I'm writing down a lot of positive notes about Karon Crawford and Amaris Williams. Mm-hmm. I think they've been solid pieces to help Keldrick out in that pass rush. I know Amaris had the shoulder separation yesterday. Hopefully he's going to be good. And then, like, it's a small sample size, but Jared Smith popped on tape. Yes, that young man has looked impressive, and he made a big-time play yesterday. Yes, so my big question for the D-line coming into the season was, are there guys outside of Keldrick Falk that could create pressure? I feel good about that. I do like that. That's one thing that I've seen that I do like. I also feel like, Hugh was kind of critical of not how run fits yesterday, particularly in the counter. But I think that overall, over 12 games, I think that Auburn's run defense has been really solid. And so it's not perfect, but I think that it's definitely more positive than it is negative when it comes to that. And I'm not worried about teams just lining up and running the ball down Auburn's throat at any point in this season. That's not where my questions in this defense lie. And I will tell y'all very soon what my questions on this defense are. Nick, what do you like about the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, starting at the closest to the line of scrimmage, man. The defensive line has been very, very impressive to me, especially when it gets to the pass rush with Karon Crawford and with Keldrick Falk. When you got your 2 starting guys coming out and they're setting a tone. That is I'm not gonna say impressive. That is just what you expected them to do, especially with Keyron Crawford, because Keyron Crawford actually adds another dimension to it. Because I think the question for a lot of people was coming into the season, who would be that second guy? Because everybody was talking about Keldrick Fall, and so now Keyron Crawford has shown, guess what? I'm that guy. I can come in here and I can solidify myself as the number 2 option, and then right behind that, you see Jared Smith come in and play in not just get garbage time, but he's playing in critical moments. Even before the strip sack on Bishop Davenport in the South Alabama game, he actually made a nice rip move against Ethan Hubbard, who's the right tackle for South Alabama. Made a nice rip move against him, and was that close, literally like a hair away from having his first another sack. But Bishop Davenport just was just a little bit faster, and he got a first down off of that, and ended up getting about 12 yards on that. Jared Smith is gonna be a legit All-American in this league in the future. Legit. That's a legitimate All-American and potentially the next guy up, in that room. You move to the second level of the defense. Elijah Melendez, everybody knows, man. Elijah Melendez, man, coming in. The thing about it, tackling, like wrap up tackling, taking guys to the ground, filling the spots, playing run fits correctly. Shout out to Elijah Melendez. Shout out to Xavier Atkins, the best pickup in the portal, in my opinion, for Auburn on the defensive side of the ball. Xavier Atkins has been a bright spot and has been a guy that has come into this defense and has played and has earned playing time on his field going into SEC play. So yeah, I'm telling you, I'm gonna stop right there because I got a feeling we both got the same questions about the defense. But right there is where I feel the bright spots are. Pass rush, defensive line, the interior is coming along as we figure out the rotation, who gonna be the set guys playing each week, and of course those young guys in the defense. I'm in the linebacker room. Elijah Melendez, Xavier Atkins. Looking at, forgot to mention Robert Woodyard as well, man. And those guys playing and things, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm happy about the front 7 part of Auburn's defense playing.
Yeah, and I'm going to add real quick to Elijah Melendez. I think the first live show we did together, I asked you, will Elijah Melendez be starting linebacker by the end of the season? We both agreed that he would be. And I think we're on pace for that to be the case, man. So here's the weird thing, and this is why you can talk all June and July and August about stuff, man, and then it's all well and good, and we got to make content, Nick. We got to put out power rankings and rank what group we think's going to be best and blah blah blah, and it's all certified horse shit, to be honest with you. And I think you've seen that because if you would have told me my biggest question 3 games in would be the Auburn secondary, man, I would have said, brother, like, you need to put down the joint. You need to quit sipping on whatever you're sipping on. This secondary is going to be fine.
Yep.
But yet I don't feel that way. Now, look, corner and safety are different. So I think that the outside corners have played a little bit better. Still not up to my expectations, to be honest with you. But it's really the safety play. I think I'm just surprised, man. Like, I predicted big things for Caleb Harris, Nick. I predicted big things for Caleb Harris this year. And I'm not sure what exactly is going on there. Sylvester Smith has a big game versus Ball State, and then yesterday it doesn't look anything like that. And I just think that my main issue with defense, because ultimately, what did Davenport end up with yesterday? It was less than 200 yards. So like 170, right? Okay, so it's not, and I think he finished the game in the fourth quarter like 3 of 8 passing or something like they locked up when they needed to lock up. And the most important statistic on defense is points allowed.
Yep.
And if you told me the point totals before the season for Baylor, Ball State, and South, I would take it. And again, I predicted South Alabama to score 17 points in this game. They scored 15 or 16. They missed 2 extra points. They would have reached my total if their kicker wasn't shanking extra points everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't do anything point total wise that threw me off. I knew they had playmakers. I knew Davenport's a good player. I was not shocked at all that Major Applewhite had a good script for the first 10 or 15 plays. If you follow college football, you know, like, they are probably going to at least get a field goal on their first possession. Like, he's that good, guys. Here's what worries me. Again, let's go back to Baylor. 4th and 16.
Yep.
Baylor gets a big first down.
Yep.
4th and 9.
Yep.
Baylor scores a touchdown. Safety gets caught flat-footed.
Yep.
Yesterday, South Alabama's third down conversion rate, they were 3 for 4 on 4th down. Boys, you got to get off the field on critical downs. You have to. And I got a little upset last year when people kept calling it 3rd and Durkin. I would draw my criticism of that critique. It might be a thing. Like, why in the world can we not get off the field at least enough? You made the plays when you had to yesterday. True freshman Jared Smith steps up, make a big sack. Crayon Crawford, that pick, you mentioned it was an early game-changing momentum play. But, man, like, looking ahead to the opponents we're going to play, there are just miscommunications in the secondary. The slant route has killed this team in 2 of its 3 games. And to be real with you, Ball State is going to have, I said this yesterday, outside of Air Force, Army, and Navy, Ball State will probably have the least amount of passing yards in the country. So I don't know what to make. Like, you didn't test the secondary at all. I can't take a whole lot from that performance. From the 2 teams that can actually stress you out a little bit, I don't think the Auburn defense has been up to the task. And I would say through 3 games that the absence of Charles Kelly is blatantly obvious to me. What say you?
Yeah, man, I tell you this. I had Auburn's secondary as 1A as the strongest position group on this team preseason. When you just look at the guys in the secondary, you sitting here saying, yeah, this is probably going to be one of the strongest groups on the team. And to your point about Charles Kelly being gone, I'm 100% in agreement with you, man. I am 100% in agreement with you on that. This team does not look in the secondary. This team does not look like, I don't want to say it because I don't want to disrespect coaches, but it don't look like they know what they're doing in the secondary. It doesn't look like they know what they're doing in the secondary and things and stuff like that. One criticism that a lot of people have is when it gets to the 3rd and Durkin thing is that, you know, a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people say, if you watch this defense on 1st and 2nd down, you would think that on 3rd down, oh, they definitely gonna get off the field on 3rd down. Like, it's no question. Let's just go ahead. They get ready to punt. If it's past 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, they get ready to punt the football. Man, boy, that's the biggest Uno reverse card I've ever heard and seen in my life, because bruh, we are not good. And here's where I'm gonna tell you where I think the problem is. I think the problem is actually in those situations. I don't think Auburn's getting enough pressure on the quarterback. I think you're allowing the quarterback to kind of sit back in the pocket and kind of dissect things a little bit too much, a little bit too long. When you're only rushing 3, when you're only rushing 4, and you're not getting and the quarterback has 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds in the pocket to figure out where he wants to go with the ball, and if not, he can pull it down and run. And you're only rushing 3, and you dropping 8, and there's a bunch of green grass in front of this quarterback. If he wants to, and he's athletic enough, he can run and get a first down. That's a problem. So Would love to see Durkin kind of dial up more of that pressure. When we saw Eugene Asante come on a blitz, when Eugene Asante was here, when we saw Austin Keys and these guys doing this type of stuff, we would love to see that happen more. I think it's more the fact that we got to see. I would love to see just more pressure on those critical downs and speed up the quarterback's thought process in those downs, because to me, it just seems like quarterback just has all day to kind of just sit back and just kind of throw the ball and dissect what he wants to do to defense. And on the back end, the coverage is not strong. It's not as strong as we thought it would be in the preseason from what we have back there. Now, and I'll say this, in the preseason, I made a suggestion in the preseason that maybe Can Lee should move to a safety position. Same thing that happened with Jalen. What's his last name? Jalen. Can't remember his last name off the top of my head. But we had a cornerback that moved from we had a defense back that moved from cornerback to safety, and I thought that helped wonders with his career, because for one, he did not have to play with his back to the quarterback. He can have his face mask to the ball majority of the time and things stuff like that. But I understand that Can Lee is a great cover cornerback and things of that nature. But to me, it just seems as if on the back end, these guys, when it comes to coverage on the back end, they can't cover for an extended period of time, which is disheartening to a point, because I was very high on this defense being one of the best in the on the defense secondary being one of the best in the country. So hopefully it'll get fixed. Hopefully that's something that we see improved in the coming weeks. But my saying is, whatever team you are by week 4 or 5 is who you're gonna be for the rest of the season. So we'll see.
You know, a big thing that I found myself, again, when I was going through all my notes, I said, I don't think I've wrote down DeMarcus Riddick's name one time.
Nope, you didn't. And to be completely honest with you, that's surprising. Yep. That's surprising to me, to be completely honest with you. This is the guy that was highly touted coming out of high school. He made an impact. He had some impact towards the end of the season. He said a lot of things as well. But the thing about it is, we haven't really heard his name for real these first couple of weeks. We haven't really heard anything about him. Maybe this is one of the guys that's just saving it for SEC play, for bigger opponents in their mind. Maybe that's what it is. I hope that's not the mindset that it is. But we kind of haven't seen it. I think yesterday he had 2 tackles. 2 or 3 tackles yesterday, something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is wild to me a little bit, this secondary part.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been what I was expecting. I will say this. Try to put a little bit of positivity into it. For one, Baylor's lit up everybody through the air. So that game, okay. And last year it got better as it went on. Like I feel like there was a lot of broken plays early in the season last year from the secondary, a lot of miscommunications, and I felt like that improved as the season went on. But still, man, the play is not where I expected it to be. And some of those guys, and I have a comment start here, because this is the thing about football. Where's it at? Madison says Caleb Harris is having that K. Scott drop off, it seems. Has he moved around in the secondary? Not from what I've seen. Nick, you can speak to this a little bit more. I got to go back and watch yesterday's game again. But it's just sometimes, man, sometimes a guy plays as a freshman. He's successful. He comes in as a sophomore. And he continues to grow, and he's better as a junior. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes there's that K. Scott drop off. Like it doesn't. It's not a perfect science, and you just never really know. And we can talk all summer and make predictions and all that stuff, but when they strap it up and play, that's when you find the truth out. I'm not ready to give up on Caleb Harris. I think he's a good football player.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think what you saw last year, especially like instinct wise, like this guy knows where to be, and it hasn't shown itself so far this year. I'm not sure what's going on there. I really don't. And you made a good point about they don't look like they really know what they're supposed to be doing. It looks like a lot of confusion. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that can get worked out. I hope Madison. I hope it's not a Keontae Scott type situation. I hope you see Caleb figure it out and get it back together. But it's surprising. It's not where I thought it would be. And again, for me, it's like if I was an OC right now against Auburn defense, I think I need the ball on first and second down. I think I need the ball on first and second down, get to 3rd and 13. All right, now I got y'all where I want y'all. That's what I feel. I'm joking, but like that's what.
that's legit. That's what, you got a point, because I mean that's if we looking at the numbers,
yeah.
Statistically wise, I probably have a better chance of getting the first down on 3rd and 13 against Auburn's defense than I would on 3rd and 4. Right. So I mean, to your point, I mean, I would be surprised if somebody tried that. I would be surprised, but I'm just, it's all fun and games until people actually look at it and be like, wait a minute, there's a trend here. Right. So let's see what's going on.
Now, do you want to be fair to the defense? That pass interference call, I believe it was on Falston.
Yeah,
that's golly.
It wasn't a pass interference, but it was caught on the field though. That's what
yeah, man. I mean, between the Robert Woodyard fumble that they called not a fumble last week, and then between that flag yesterday on a 4th down to keep a drive alive, it's just like, okay, all right. I mean, I try to get used to SEC officiating, and I never will. And then basketball season will come around, and you're really going to hear me scream about it. So it is what it is. Kyle says, I like the defense. Points allowed is the most important statistic, and this team is dominating and protecting our end zone. I'm not going to agree with you on I like the defense. I'm not panicking on the defense. I give it a C, I guess. Like, it's in the middle. There's some things I like. There's some things I don't like. But you are correct, Kyle, in ultimately, how many points do you give up?
Yep.
That's all that really matters. You know why Auburn's putting up more points offensively this year? Because they're scoring in the red zone.
That part.
Like, ultimately, it's about the points you put up. I know that sounds obvious, but like, we do all these breakdowns of all these different things, and it's like, man, I mean, Auburn gets inside the 20s last year, they don't score. They get inside the 20s this year, and all of a sudden Jackson's legs give you this new different dimension, and you're scoring. So, and I think the play calling has got a lot simpler in the red zone as well. I think last year you try to get way too cute, way too often. I think this year you're just like, hey man, let Jackson make a play with his legs if he has to, and I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kyle. I mean, again, people, I can't help what people are going to think. Some people are going to hear this and think that this is like a panic mode, a freak out mode. You got to be objective. You got to talk about what's good, what's bad. And ultimately, you are correct. Like, how many points do you give up? They're keeping teams off the board, so good deal. But we see things that could be an issue as we get into, like, you play that way versus Oklahoma like you did yesterday, and I bet they score more than South Alabama scored. So
definitely will.
Definitely. Yeah, like it's a different situation.
This is what I say. I say Auburn's defense has been playing a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball as well.
A lot of freshmen yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of freshmen. A lot of rotation. I think for one, what needs to happen is to the Caleb Harris situation. I feel like Caleb Harris plays better when he's closer to the line of scrimmage, or he's closer to has the ability to play closer as a run defender, and potentially can be a guy that can play the pass well within 20 yards in, 15, 20 yards in my personal opinion. Love to see him back at the nickelback position, back at the nickel. Also, we can't discredit the absence of a Champ Anthony as well. Because what I've noticed is when Champ Anthony is in the lineup and when he's on the field, there's a different toughness to this secondary as well. Okay. There's a guy that's willing to come up and hit. Sylvester Smith showed us that against Ball State. Didn't kind of see it this past week, but somebody that consistently does that, and that is consistently bringing the physicality that the secondary needs. Champ Anthony does that. So hopefully we can get Champ back soon. But to to what you're saying, I'm a lot perplexed by this because I would have thought that Baylor was just game one. And like you said, we saw Baylor. We see what Baylor's offense is doing. We see what Jake Spavital is doing in his Art Brown styles offense, this air raid type thing. And they're carving up teams. But you would have liked this game at least. You would have liked to see them not just be out of position. That's the problem that it is. It seems like the secondary is not in the correct positions. And I don't know if that's the wrong play being called at that time, or if it's just not, if that's a coaching problem. Coaches will tell you they'll tell you publicly we have to coach it better.
Right.
But most of the time they might be like, man, they just out of position. Privately they'll be in meetings and like, man, he was right there. You just out of position. If you've ever been in a meeting, they just run the play back. They just be like, what you doing right there, man? What you doing? Like your leverage ain't right. You supposed to be outside leverage the tight end. You head up the tight end. What you doing, man? What you doing? You supposed to be outside leverage the tight end. You giving him the inside. What you doing? You supposed to be head up. The coaches would do that. Like, but publicly they'll be like, yeah, we got to coach you better. And things and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's perplexing to me. But like you stated earlier in the show, we create habits. And if these habits continue to go, it's gonna be a long season for us. And it could potentially start this upcoming weekend. So man, hopefully they get it together this week, is all I can say. That's it.
Hey, you see what creating turnovers will do, right?
Yes.
Create a couple turnovers and it changes the game for sure. So more of that. Who didn't have K'Ron Crawford getting Auburn's first interception of the year? I mean, who didn't have that on their bingo card? MS says Keldrick seems a bit complacent. Am I missing something? I disagree with you here. Keldrick's a leader on this team. He's bringing the fire. He's playing well. You got to understand he's being game planned for.
Yep.
And I think he's playing just fine. I think he's showing up in big moments. Him and K'Ron both kind of combined for a sack there in a big moment yesterday. He had a big sack and an important drive versus Baylor. So, and I can guarantee you, he is the leader of this football team. He is the guy. So, and behind the scenes, he is not complacent at all. And scouts love him. They love what they've seen the first 3 weeks. So no, Keldrick's great and he's playing great. No disappointment in anything he's doing. Marshall says pass rush so far has been good and coverage by the corners have been good. Notice I said corners, not the whole secondary. Yeah, you're kind of on par with what we're talking about here. MS says Dustin and Nick offer the most common sense analysis of any of the many AU and overly commercialized podcasts. Thank you. Wow. Oh, well, look, man, I appreciate you. Look, there's a lot of great podcasts in the Auburn media space. There's a lot. It's a crowded space with a lot of talented people. I do appreciate this comment because that is really, and I know this is Nick's goal as well. My goal for the Uptempo podcast is it is obviously a pro Auburn lean. I mean, like I'm War Eagle to the core, okay, and I'll make no bones about that. But yeah, I always like I have a Mississippi State fan and a Georgia fan that pay for memberships, that pay for monthly memberships, and that's because they want to hear objective content. So even though my audience aim is Auburn, what we want to do is provide an objective discussion. I'm not War Eagle Plus. I'm not a propaganda arm for the Auburn University, nor am I the opposite. I'm not like AL.com. I'm not cloaking as if I'm Auburn coverage, but really coming in with like a narrative to try to be negative and get negative clicks on Auburn. Because make no mistake about it, Joseph Goodman and AL.com, I don't mind saying it publicly. That's what y'all are doing. I have no respect for what's going on over there, and I will never run from that. I'll tell them that to their face. But anyway, before I go off on my AL.com tangent. But look, man, I really appreciate this comment a lot because There's a lot of clickbait out there. There's a lot of overly obsessive sunshine pump and or the other side, overly obsessive with the negative. And that's just look, there are times where like I think about like making the title for the episode and I could make it more clickbaity and I just cringe even like doing it. And I'm like, no, I know that would probably get more clicks. I'm just not going that route. So there's a certain way that I want to do this thing, and I believe in it. And it could cost you some views sometimes. But ultimately, man, like it is what it is. This comment, I appreciate it a lot because this is the goal. And I've always challenged people. I always challenge people to say, hey, if you don't like the way that I discuss football, go and watch the basketball or the baseball. You're not going to find go find me saying something negative about Bruce Pearl. It probably doesn't exist. You know why? Because he's the winningest coach in Auburn basketball. Like if you win games, we're going to be positive, baby. We'll still talk about like the things that need to be worked on. But if you win, ultimately, that's what it's going to be. Exactly. But when you've had 4 losing seasons in a row on the football side, what did you want me to say last year? It was great. It wasn't. It was like I can't do that. Like so it's just I really appreciate this comment a lot, man, because it's difficult to do. You see certain people and how they move in the space and getting the clicks and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, all right, I see you. So yeah, man, I really appreciate this. That comment means a lot. That is the ultimate goal. This is a pro Auburn show. I know Nick loves Auburn as well. I watch his content over at Water Cooler. He's the same way, but we're gonna call a spade. Yeah, because you got to be realistic. I want you to be able to listen to me and Nick, speaking for you as well. I know you want people to believe you, right? Like you got to have trust in what I'm saying, man. If I get up here and say everything's great all the time, you already know what I'm going to say. Why even tune in? So yeah, man, I really appreciate that one a lot. Marshall says the bend but don't break defense is getting on my nerves because it won't work against the better teams coming up. I hear you. We about to find out, Marshall.
I think the thing about it is like, and that's it, the bend but don't break. I think people just want to see a dominant defense. I think people don't mind in situations like in games, seeing the bend but don't break. But the thing is, if it's 3rd and 12, 3rd and 16, if it's 4th and 9, 4th and 10, get off the field.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's literally what it is. Just get off the field. Don't allow a team to extend the drive. And then if you go, all right, this is what we mean by when we criticize. We Auburn lean, yes, but we can criticize the team. On one of those drives in the second half, South Alabama converted. They did it twice actually. It was like 3rd and 8. South was like, all right, we're going to run the ball. They got the 4th and 2. And guess what they did? They ran the ball. They did it by running the ball. They didn't do it by passing the ball. What we just sitting here talking about is what we were talking about, teams them being out of position. They did it by running the ball, by gap scheme, by pulling the backside guard into the tackle, having guys block up to the linebacker, and running backs being able to just run and get 6-7 yards and put it in a manageable 4th and 2 to where now the coach can think about saying, hey, we can probably go for it on 4th down right here. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Just get off the field. If it's 3rd and 9. I don't want to see a team running the ball to get them into 4th and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 3, and now they have the option to go for it. That's what it is. That's really what it is. If it's 3rd and long, get off the field. Get off the field. That's all.
I mean, and South was what, 3 or 4 yesterday on 4th down. So it's like, all right, fellas, we need a little bit more killer instinct and I made the joke about last year, halfway through the Arkansas game, I just sat down on 3rd and long. I'm not cheering for you guys on 3rd and long anymore because it doesn't appear to be helping you. 9-time champion says it's weird. A couple of times we did have big defensive plays, a forced fumble in the 4th quarter, and there was little to no reaction celebration from the team. this is worth noting because after the Baylor game, Hugh Freeze said, we made the 4th down stop to win the game, and I saw no celebration, no intensity from our defense. He said they took a sigh of relief versus being excited. Then yesterday, same situation. Auburn gets the stop that pretty much seals the game. It's the stop they needed. And I saw DJ. I don't know exactly what he was saying word for word, but when they put the camera on DJ after the stop, they're coming off the field, and he's yelling at them, get excited. Get excited. We made the stop. You made the play. He grabbed one of the defensive linemen. I can't remember who it was, and he kind of shook his pads, and he said, come on, let's go. Like, you made the play. You made the play. Why are y'all? What is this? And I think it's worthy of note. I think it's worthy of note that is kind of a thing that the head coach has said something about. Yep. And I saw a very good example of the defensive coordinator yesterday, frustrated in where's the juice here, guys. So yeah, that's something that we'll keep looking at. I don't know. Maybe the defense is going to get questions all week now. Yeah, and maybe that'll piss them off. Maybe they'll come out versus Oklahoma with a little bit of fire. Y2K coming in here with the Sikkim Bears hanging out. Hey, listen. First off, appreciate you watching on a Sunday morning. A Baylor guy. You don't have to be in here with us, so we appreciate that. And go Bears. I want Baylor to win. I want Baylor to win every single game they play from here on out, man. And yeah, y'all got a great OC over there. A great quarterback. Trigg is an absolute beast at tight end. So, yeah, man, pulling for y'all because obviously it helps Auburn, and I got no problem with Baylor. And then Y2K says y'all are 3-0 and haven't played a full game yet. Yeah, for sure. You always want to it's much easier to discuss what needs to be worked on in a win versus what needs to be discussed in a loss. And there were some of these, like there was, what was it, with Harsin was coach, Georgia State. It was either Georgia State or Georgia Southern, where TJ came off the bench and TJ made the game-winning drive and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, I guess this is a win. Like you have some of those. No, like 31-15 over South Alabama is a very realistic outcome. It's a very reasonable outcome. That's why there's no like panic button being, pressed here or anything. Nick didn't predict a big blowout for Auburn. I didn't predict a big blowout for Auburn. Felt like 24.5 was just a massive number from the get-go, man. I think Vegas kind of baited some people there with that one. They were using names. They were saying, hey, Auburn's ranked now. They got a couple blowouts. Let's see if we can make some money real quick here on that one. Auburn was never going to beat South by 24 points. So, yeah, and to the full game thing, Y2K, it's very rare. Does a team ever play a full game? Like, you might have one or two of those a season. But, I mean, there's always going to be things that you need to work on and things like that. So, like, yeah, I mean, Auburn just keep finding ways to win. You want to see Auburn improve. You want to, again, develop good habits and all that. And hopefully there's a game or two in the year. I would prefer the Georgia and Alabama game where Auburn does have their full game and everything clicks.
That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Hold up, man. I got a question. I know this is not Auburn related. What's your thoughts on Georgia? Because I made a very bold prediction about this Georgia team at the beginning of the season. I don't think Georgia's gonna make the college football playoff. And a lot of people said, boy, you crazy. And I said it. I threw it out there. I just saw some things that just didn't make it to me. But I know this might be off topic. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. But if you don't, what's your thoughts on Georgia? Are you afraid of Georgia?
I'm afraid of Georgia from the standpoint that we haven't beat them in a million years. I'm afraid of them from the standpoint of that in those million years, I think we beat them once. So, like, just what was it, 18 of the last 20 or something? Like, I'll tell you like this, Nick. Because of when I grew up, my years of loving Auburn, my formative years of loving Auburn were the Tuberville High Point years. Okay. I used to go to Christmas every year with the Iron Bowl score shirt. And for 6 straight years, I used to be able to walk into the Christmas with my score shirt on and sit down on the couch in front of the family and be like, oh, what's up? Oh, shit. Oh, y'all going to the Birmingham Bowl? Or y'all? Oh, that's man, that sucks. And then Saban came along. and he ruined all that for me.
I
grew up hating Georgia more than Bama is what I'm saying.
Oh,
because like I hate Bama, right? Their fans and everything that goes into that. But I used to get to go to Thanksgiving and Christmas and make fun of my family. Like we used to run that thing. It was always Georgia that was like, all right, we got to get over Georgia. Like, and then I had an experience in their stadium where people actually barked at me as I left the stadium. Like grown men, I was a teenager, were barking at me, and I was like, I bet when I'm 35 years old, I wouldn't bark at a 16-year-old like that. So developed a real hatred for the Bulldogs in that moment. But as time has gone on, they've bludgeoned my hate to death. It's like I still hate them, but we're not even on the same level. Like you got to beat them every now and then for it to be a rivalry. So I'm so like jaded, battered, bruised. Like the Auburn fan in me, when it comes to Georgia, I got to see it. So as far as their actual team, dude, I have no idea. What I saw. I know it's not a great take, but like I have no idea what I saw yesterday. They gave up 1,000,000 yards. It felt like Tennessee could do whatever they wanted to do to them.
They did.
If Georgia made the playoffs and made a deep run, I wouldn't be surprised. If they went 9-3, I wouldn't be surprised. It is a gettable game for Auburn. You got them at home. Like that defense is as suspect as a Kirby Smart defense is going to be. They're not the Georgia of old. They're not the Georgia of the first Kirby Smart. There's losses coming. There's bad performances coming. I was impressed. I mean, there was one throw yesterday where Stockton just took a shot to the chest on a third down. He just got rocked, and he made a perfect throw. And I was like, okay, that's impressive. But I also think Tennessee's defense is cheeks. So,
okay.
You know, I don't have a good beat on them yet, bro. I don't know what to make of it. I'll just say this, like, you could be very correct in the fact that they're not going to make the play. Like they're not at all a shoe-in. And they got way more questions over there than they normally do. And I feel like it probably lends itself more towards the current day and age in football, in that the days of what Alabama and Georgia did for a decade there, and Saban a little bit longer, of just stacking all the talent and having their third stringer be a guy that would have started on your team. Yeah. Now with the portal, that third stringer that would have started on your team
is at Texas A&M.
He's there. He's actually on the roster that they're going to play, and he is starting. So I just think the playing field's evened out a little bit more, man. So they're gettable, Nick. They're gettable to your point.
Yeah, I just wonder, like I know I'm gonna have this conversation this week about Georgia, because we definitely gonna talk about other teams that happen around the SEC. And I'm guessing the question is, in that particular game yesterday, was that coaching by Kirby Smart, or was that just a missed field goal by Tennessee that extended that game and gave him the opportunity?
Well, I tell you this, boy was shook. When they showed him warming up with a minute and a half to go, I looked at my girlfriend and I said, that young man ain't gonna make that kick.
He gonna miss it.
Hey, he was over there meditating. He was over there meditating, bro.
He was nervous. But to his credit, he came back out and made the same field goal.
Yeah, he made it. He made it when it didn't make a damn.
My God.
He made the one that ultimately didn't matter. Yeah, that was tough, man. That was tough. Look, guys, we're about to get out of here. Real quick, I want to pull this one up because I want to show love. The Weakest Link says, I follow Dustin, Blake, and the War Report mostly. I think all three channels give solid breakdowns of the games. Well, go over there and follow Nick at the Water Cooler Talk podcast as well. And shout out to my guy, Blake. Obviously, we did the show together for 2 years. I get a couple of comments honestly, all the time in the comments asking, where is Blake? Probably 4 or 5 months ago, Blake moved on. He is now with the voice of college football. So, and it's all love here. Like, me and him are cool. We texting all day during the games and all that. These things happen in this industry, man. People move around, get different opportunities, all that kind of stuff. So, nothing like that. It's all love with Blake. So go check him out. Go follow him. I know a lot of y'all been asking in the comments where he's at. That's the situation there. And then, obviously, like War Report, love those guys. I can't tell you how how big of a help Ike and Mike have been, and just helping me kind of. You think you just turn, like, when you start this, you're like, all right, I'm gonna turn on the camera and turn on the mic, and I'm gonna talk football. There's a whole nother level of stuff that goes into it, and into building an audience, into advertising and all that kind of stuff. And those guys over there at the War Report have helped me out more than I can even begin to describe. So love those guys. Big thank you to them as well. So all right, man, that's gonna wrap it up. The Auburn Tigers 3-0. We'll take it. We'll take it for sure. Ranked for the first time in 4 years, traveling to Norman, Oklahoma for a big time ranked showdown. So I'm sure, Nick, y'all are going to have tons of content over there this week talking about this game and other SEC games. Tell the people where they can find you and what's going on this week over there.
Yeah, Water Cooler Talk Sports, man. Live call-in shows Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We go around the water cooler. Then, of course, every Saturday, Auburn has a game. I go into the locker room, man, and we do the live game watches. We sit there, and you get to see me react to the game. You get to take a look at it, man. I try to give you shout out to Auburn Tez, DC, and the mayor, man. It's Nick SPN, a spoof on ESPN. I try to give you that ESPN quality on a Subway budget. But man, we appreciate y'all, man. So go over there, come subscribe over to Water Cooler Talk Sports, man. We appreciate you so much for rocking with us, and appreciate Dustin always for giving us opportunity to come over here and chop it up with you all, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, man, I am looking to work with the people that are objective and doing this thing the right way. And I love the work that you guys are doing over there, buddy. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here. And real quick, man, for the members, sign up today. $3.99 a month for that JV squad, $5.99 a month to get you into that varsity squad. I will have a reaction show to the highlights that I've been putting out for you guys. We'll do that in a little bit. I'll get that cranked out for y'all. There will be no podcast tomorrow morning, because as you've seen a couple times, we have to mute the mic and go off and have my coughing fits. I'm just sick of it. Been battling it all damn week. So nothing tomorrow. Hugh will do his press conference tomorrow afternoon. I will react to that. Any storylines, injury news that come out to that. So the next podcast will be up Tuesday morning. Be on the lookout for that. If you're listening on audio, you already know the deal. 5-star reviews, downloads, all that good stuff, man. We say it every episode. Y'all know it. Appreciate you guys for watching. It's War Damn Eagle, baby. Tap right back in Tuesday morning for the next episode of the Uptempo Podcast. Until then, God bless. Hope y'all have a good week. We're out.
Sir.